All right, guys, what's going on? Today is Thursday, and we are going to have our usual stream with, in my view, one of the most important topic in the immigration field, because yes, H-1B is something that not everyone will get, but at least 60,000 people, maybe 80,000 people, depending on the year, will get H-1B every year, meaning that a lot of people who got H-1Bs in the beginning of their career, at some point will start thinking, how will I get to the green card? And absolutely, we'll have to discuss the general topics, the common ways for people to get to the green card. And also we'll be discussing the separate ways for Indians, okay? Because a lot of H-1Bs are allocated for Indians, and there are some ways that do not work for this category, but we're going to address that. So, but before we begin, let's first see what approvals we got the past week. We have 4 approvals. First of all, fresh approval for O1A for a businessman from Russia. He is in the IT sector. His employer, his own company. We filed for 5 criteria and got him approved with no RFE. This is today's approval. Yesterday, guys, we got a very nice approval for EB-1A talent visa for our client from South Africa. And she's a businesswoman. And you know, guys, my heart always melts when we get the approvals for business women, because we all know that for women it's much harder to be in business. So I have a lot of respect for women who not only do business but succeed in those measures. This is a great approval from South Africa. And also nice approval for Zuo Bruno, guys. You remember Zuo? He was giving us 2 interviews because he was getting O1 visa. He was giving us interview even before O1 visa was approved, and now we got him EB-1A, and I already told you that we would get it even without filing it. All right, so Zuo got his green card with his beautiful wife Patty, and Zuo Bruno is from Cameroon. Okay, that's our first client from Cameroon, and I love, you see, this is the African week because we got 2 approvals from Africa, from South Africa and from Cameroon. And the 4th approval is for O1 for IT specialist from Ukraine. Okay, so 4 approvals, very good, all of them in the talent visas. That's the visa I'm specializing in. All right, so guys, let me know if you have any specific questions about H-1B or anything that relates to this visa, because I assume that everybody who's watching this stream right now and everybody who's going to joining us later or watch it when it's already finished, you guys know what H-1B visa is. Okay, I assume you do. So, but again, let's take a step back and recollect what is H-1B. Nirmal says, Stan going global. Nirmal, we've been going global for a long time, but now we're getting a lot more results because, of course, it's always the first client that's beyond your cultural atmosphere is the hardest, right? But once we started getting approvals from Switzerland, from Japan, from Bangladesh, from Cameroon, from Brazil, from Argentina, from Mexico, and other countries in the world, from Germany, I mean, people just building more trust in us, okay? Because before that, it was Stanislav speaking on YouTube, on Instagram, and, you know, who knows who that guy is? Show me the results. Okay, show me the results. So then I'm going to believe you. So these are the results that we're showing, and of course Zoo is going to give us an interview and we're going to post it on YouTube. Michelle is going to give us the interview. She already said yes. So watch the next couple of weeks, guys. You're going to have a bunch of streaming interviews and then posting them on YouTube. Yes, and thank you, Nirmal. I do believe that's what the recognition is. All right, let's take a look. Didi, hi Stan, hi Didi. You always send people. You always send people to your free evaluation link. I mean, you meant you send. Okay, yes. Thank you, Didi. But what if somebody is not qualified yet and have important questions like proof of funds, so he can position properly for the filing later? Yes, there's no way in the world, Didi, that I could make a qualification on the proof of funds from the free evaluation. I can give an educated guess provided that a person described in detail what's happening with the proof of funds. But the real work is done when that person goes to the complex immigration planning, okay? Because I collect all the data, I know the documents, the client answers all my questions, so I can say, okay, this is what's going on. So they need to take the next step, going to the complex immigration planning. Okay, let's go back to H-1B. So H-1B is a visa for professionals with a higher education, right? What are the requirements to get H-1B? Number one, you have a higher education. Number two, your degree is within the list of the listed degrees that comply with the requirements of the immigration laws. Number three, we have an employer who is willing and able to pay the market salary to the employee on H-1B. Number four, the H-1B candidate must be fluent in English, okay? Or in other words, knowing English very well. And if you guys ask me about the category, this A, B, I'm not really good with those like B1, B, C, B plus, C. I think it's B plus, but don't quote me on that. You have to speak English fluently, understand it, being able to read and write in English. Okay, so that's the bottom line. And number five, I think most important is one of the most important is to be selected in the lottery. Okay, the lottery is held every year from the beginning March till the end of March. The dates differ from year to year. The results are up at the end of March, the beginning of April, and only a certain number of visas are available each year. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 85,000 visas total, with 20,000 reserved for master's degree, 60,000 reserved for bachelor's degree, and 5,000 reserved for Chileans and I believe Australians. Okay, I don't do those visas, to be honest, very often. I do maybe like 10 a year. Okay, and for me 10 a year is nothing, guys, because you know, like we do like probably 200 of EB-1As a year. Okay, like a lot of EB-1As, all ones, EB-2 and IW. So 10 is nothing. So I know them pretty well, and we got all of them approved. There was no H-1B that we didn't get approved because it's so easy. You know, once you select it, you have an employer. They usually know that they have to pay. You know that you have English skills, so it's an easy filing. Okay, it's 1, 2, 3. So let's assume you guys got H-1B. And maybe some of you got it this year. So you're going to be starting working in the US October 1st. All right. And let's refine the important dates for H-1B. So once we get selected, the I-129 is filed. Then it gets approved. I recommend expedited processing, so you guys in time for the fall term. Then July 1st, not earlier than July 1st, you can schedule the interview with the embassy. Not later than September 1st, you can come to the US, and no I'm sorry, not earlier than September 1st, and not earlier than October 1st, you can start working. Okay, so that's how you start your career in the US on H-1B, and H-1B is good for 3 years. Okay, you can bring your family on H-1B. However, your family is going to have H-4 visa, which does not give the right to your spouse to work. Okay, so your spouse cannot work, which I think is a huge detrimental factor for a lot of you who are married, and I understand why, but your kids can go to school. Okay, so which is also very beneficial to your kids to get an American education and basically become Americans. Okay, because if you go to American school, you're gonna become an American, and we all want our kids to be Americans, right? Because that's the way to go. So if at some point you get an approval for EB-2 or EB-3, then you can extend your H-1B forever, and without that you can extend it only once for 3 years. So 3 plus 3, 6 years max. Okay. However, if you got EB-2 or EB-3 approved, you can extend H-1B for as long as needed. And with the recent change in the law, with EB-2 or EB-3 approved, the spouse of H-1B holder can get the work permit. Okay, so number one opportunity or resolution for H-1B holders to get the green card is to get classic EB-2 or EB-3 approved. And usually it's EB-2, okay, because we already have a bachelor's and probably will have 5 years experience or more. The only problem with EB-2 and EB-3 is that you have to be dependent on your employer, and basically you cannot leave your employer, right? Because if you leave your employer on H-1B and switch it to another employer, I guess your employer is not going to be happy about it, and they're going to withdraw your approval of EB-2 or EB-3. So you kind of stuck with your employer, okay? And you guys know I'm joking about it, but that's kind of true. Like, you kind of become a slave on the boat. Remember back in the day, like when in Egypt and all these guys who were like pedaling the boats, you guys pedaling the boat, okay? And you cannot leave, because if you leave, things are going very bad. So that's the truth, but that's the price you have to pay for the green card. Let's talk in that context about Indians, okay? Because a lot of Indians have H-1B and a lot of Indians get EB-2 approved. So you guys have to remember, if you're from India, the EB-2 and EB-3 have about 12 years of wait according to the visa bulletin, okay? And I know some of you like, oh my God, I don't want to wait for so long, so I'm not going to do those visas even if the employer is offering them. And this is wrong. Guys, this is wrong. So if you are from India and you are on H-1B and your employer is offering you to get EB-2, the perm, the labor certification, go for it, okay? Even though you know that you're going to wait for 12 years. Go for it, okay? Reason number one why you must do it. First, even nothing else works, you still continue working for the same employer and you don't do anything else. 12 years is going to pass, okay? That's going to pass and you're going to get your green card. But I think that's not the main reason. That's not the main reason. The reason number two is much more important. That at some point, you will be able to file for EB-1A, the talent visa, okay? Maybe some of you can file for it right now. And we have a lot of Indian clients, as of right now, who are on H-1Bs. And they have the EB-2 approved sometime before 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, doesn't really matter. Any EB-2 approved before March 2021 for Indians on H-1B is going to be very beneficial. Once we have EB-1A approved, we're going to ask for substitution of the priority dates. Meaning that once your EB-1A is approved as an Indian, your priority date is not going to be 2024 or 2025 whenever it's approved. Your priority date is going to be whenever your EB-2 was approved. Meaning that you will get your green card within 6 months of approval. Plus minus. And of course, it might be less, maybe more, but you need to know that we can substitute your priority date with your EB-2, okay? I think it's clear, guys. I already spoke about it. I mentioned it sometimes, so hopefully you got it again, or you just reminded yourself. So if it's still confusing, let me know in the comment section so I could maybe repeat myself and explain it better. But I think I did a great job on that. Okay, so let's summarize at this point what we have. H-1B, the straight way to get green card from H-1B is EB-2 or EB-3. And for most of citizens of other countries, but for Indians, okay? Nevertheless, you still have to go for it, for EB-2, EB-3, if you don't qualify for EB-1A yet, and then getting your case ready for EB-1A and getting the priority dates substituted in the future once we get you approved for EB-1A. So basically, number 2 is EB-1A. Okay, we started talking about it in the context of Indians, but EB-1A works for everybody else. Okay, let's say you're from Guatemala, you're from Mexico, you're from Canada, you're from Germany, you're from Senegal. It doesn't really matter. If you're on H-1B and you have your case ready for EB-1A, which a lot of times you guys will be surprised how many people on H-1Bs are qualified for EB-1A without even knowing that. Okay, and a lot of you right now qualifying for EB-1A without even knowing that. We're not going to talk today about the criteria for EB-1A. Okay, I have a lot of videos, I have a lot of posts on Instagram. I talk about that almost every day with you. So, and we have a free evaluation, guys. Don't forget, free evaluation for EB-2, for EB-3, for EB-2NIW, for EB-1A. I'm going to drop you all the links in the comment section so you guys could get the free evaluation if you're ready to go for EB-1A, for example. But EB-1A is the second way to go. Okay, EB-1A is the second way to go, and let me refresh your recollection that to get EB-1A approved, we need to satisfy at least 3 criteria out of the 10, but we usually go for 6 criteria. Okay, and as long as you have 3 criteria as of today, and most of you have the 3 criteria, the critical role, the income, sometimes contribution in the field, sometimes judging the work of others, sometimes academical articles. So it's time to start your case. For the next 6 months, things are gonna happen, okay? And we're gonna get you approved. So this is the second way to go. The third way to go is our favorite, EB-2NIW, okay? And again, not good for Indians, for Indian citizens. And by the way, guys, let me remind you that even if you have a different citizenship as of today, what I say a lot is UK and Canada for Indians, they still look at the country of birth. All right? So let's say you're a Canadian citizen and you live in Canada for 10 years, but your priority dates are going to be as if you are still an Indian citizen. Okay? Important, little thing, but important to know and remember. Okay, so EB-2NIW, again, everybody else are going to have a good time with EB-2NIW, but for Indians, what we need to do for EB-2NIW, we need to have an advanced degree, which you probably have at this point, so it's a good transition, bachelor's with 5 years experience or master's or exceptional abilities. And a lot of you guys, without knowing, have the endeavor through your current employer. All right? And I know that you'll be like, wow, how does that work? Like, I thought that EB-2 and IW is for like self-petition. Yes, it's self-petition unless there is an employer. And unless the nature of the business of the employer is in the national interest of the US. And from my experience, many companies who sponsor people for H-1B, the nature of their business is within the national interest of the US. Okay? So if you're not Indian and you're on H-1B working for one of those companies that's sponsored for H-1B a lot, you could get the green card much faster than you thought because you have everything. You have the degree, you have the experience, and you have the proposed endeavor. Continue working for the same company. So I think this is one of the best ways to get the green card for H-1B holders and relatively easiest among other visas. Okay, so let's summarize as of this point. Number one, EB-2, EB-3 labor certification. And by the way, guys, I know you can get married to an American, okay? We're talking about the ways where things are under your control or mostly under your control, okay? And within the employment area. Of course, somebody of you gonna get married to Americans and that's it, okay? That's the end of the story. So EB-2, EB-3 is number one. That's the easiest. You don't have to do anything. Basically, the employer is going to file all the paperwork, you're going to get approved, and you're just going to wait for your priority date. Number two, EB-1A, Extraordinary Ability Visa. And a lot of you thinking you're not talented. This is not true. Most of you are wrong about that, because the talent has the measure. What's that measure? The 10 criteria. We need to prove 3. We want to prove 6. And that's all possible. We have so many cases that when people did it before, okay? So this is number 2. And number 3 is EB-2 NIW, EB-2 National Interest Waiver, with many of you already having everything needed for EB-2 NIW without even knowing that, okay? So those are the 3 main ones. And again, we have also EB-5, the large investment visa. I don't think this is a viable option because it needs about $800,000 or $1 million to get approval. But again, I'm just going to throw it in there so you guys know that that's also an option. Sometimes, I would say rarely, we filed for EB-1B and even for EB-1C from H-1B. Those are rare cases, but it's possible. EB-1B for the researchers and professors, and there's a bunch of requirements we need to satisfy also, which I think are pretty hard to do, but again, case-by-case analysis. If you are in research and academia, then we should consider EB-1B as well. EB-1C, if it's the same company where you worked in whatever country you're from and in the US, if they have the same control, okay? And we can get you EB-1C. What are the options, what are other options, not immigrant but non-immigrant visas if your H-1B is running out, but you want to stay in the US and wait for your priority date or wait to file the case and get the priority date? And you guys know the answer. All of you know the answer, okay? At least Didi and Dexpel know for sure. That's O1. Okay, O1. You can easily switch from H-1B to O1 and wait for whatever you need to wait. Another thing that I want to mention, which is really important, don't forget, guys, that if you have H-1B, you can, and you have an employer, you can become an employer to yourself, okay? So you can open your own company and transfer your H-1B to your company, okay? It's possible, so keep that in mind. All right, let's go to the questions. You guys have a lot of questions, so let's go one by one. So keep dropping the questions, guys, so I could see what's going on. Uzma, hi, please tell me about how it's possible to USA visa. Uzma, I think the best way to start watching my videos and get to know the type of visas first, because it's going to take me an hour to give you the layout of the US immigration laws. So first you do your own research, you find which visas are best for you, and then you go through the free evaluation, which is available under each video that I post, and that's the best way to know. Didi, I'm interested in your friend bakery business for E2 franchise. How we can proceed with that if it's ready? Okay, Didi. Yes. Write to my WhatsApp directly, and there is a link to right above your comment, and I'll give you the contacts of a person, and that's how you're gonna proceed. So I think the best way for you to get in contact with them directly, find out all those terms and everything that's going on, make sure you like it, then sign a contract with them, and then start the E2 process. Dexpel, a higher education, approved degree from USCIS, fluent in English, employer to be able to pay salary, be selected in the lottery. Yes, Dexpel, absolutely. That's guys, for you who is late for the stream, Dexpel basically laid out the criteria for H-1B visa. Question on number 5. What if you get an offer from a good company and they file H-1B? If you never get your name in the lottery? 1, 2, 3 years. So the way is O1 only. Yes, that's the way. O1, sometimes L1 if it's the same employer, but yeah, I think, guys, I still think that O1 visa is underappreciated. Okay, it's largely underappreciated, although it's been in existence forever, and those companies for H-1B, and I understand why they don't want to utilize it, because it takes a lot of work to get that visa done. I'm saying it's easier than others just because we specialize in those visas, and all our teams and everybody who's working, they know those visas front and back. So for us, it's easy. But if, let me tell you, if you're doing O1 for the first 10 times or 20 times, it's hell of work. It's a hell of work, okay? So that's why I understand why they don't want to put so much resources on O1 when they put 20 H-1Bs, 5 of them being selected, so they kind of happy with it, okay? But if you're the one who, if they want you, okay? If they want specifically you, and you don't get selected 1, 2, 3 years, all right? It's kind of you're losing hope. You're losing hope. So if you bring them O1 petition and say, hey guys, all you need to do is sign it. That's it. Just sign it. Here and here. Okay, G28 and I-129. I don't see how they're gonna say no. It's just almost stupid to say no to this. Okay, if they pay you the government fee, I mean, that's going to be really nice of them. Okay, that's going to be really nice of them. But they don't really have to do that. They don't have to do that. All right. So O1 is the way to go. Dexpel. Secondly, for Pakistan, I've heard that H-1B is yearly now, and you have to travel back to country and restamp from embassy, and there is a 5 times renewal on H-1B. I don't know, Dexpel, I'm honest. I've never heard of that, but I wouldn't be surprised. Knowing the how USCIS and DHS and Department of Justice and Department of State, how they view of Pakistan, I wouldn't be surprised that it's true. Vishesh, how long do I have to stay with my employer if my I-140 in EB-2 category is approved? So, Vishesh, my theory my theory, and I think it has a good backup, good argument behind it, that you will have to stay with them until you get the green card, okay? And at least 6 months after you get the actual green card. But in theory, you don't have to stay with them a single day, okay? In theory, if you get EB-2 approved, you don't have to work for this employer until you get your green card, okay? But in reality, if you leave that employer until you get your green card, then they're not happy about it and they may have to withdraw your petition, okay? I think this is a reality, and I'm sure there are exceptions to this rule when you have a really good relationship with your employer and you work for them many years and you already paid all your dues, so they may say, okay, no problem, we'll let you go, okay? But again, I think it's resolved on the individual level, on your direct level with your company. I don't like being a slave to my employer. I know. Vishesh, I know. That's why we like specifically targeting Indian people who don't know that they have EB-1As. A lot of you guys have EB-1As, especially if you work in the US for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. You all have H-1Bs, or it may happen. And you don't know that you can substitute your EB-2 with EB-1 and get your green card same year, basically, okay? And yeah, that's why we're doing this, because I don't want you to be slave either. That's no good. I would like to improve my pay and my skills, and currently researching about EB-1A. Exactly, that's what I'm talking about. So Vishesh, watch my videos, but what you gotta do is a little bit below your comment, I dropped you the free evaluation for EB-1 talent visas, okay? So fill it out, and within 2 days, you're gonna know, okay? You don't have to do much research, just do that. Uzma, H-1B criteria, tell me about and how many times required. Uzma, I believe that question popped up before I started the H-1B things, but if you missed it, Dexpel just about you kind of laid out the criteria, okay? And he did a pretty good job. Vishesh, I know B1A is not an easy path, but I would like to find out if I can achieve it. Yes, Vishesh, fill out the form for H-1B. Dexpel, also if someone has O1 with an employer, is it easier for him to go with EB-2 or EB-3 for green card under employer processing? Dexpel, it's not gonna make any difference. Not gonna make any difference, okay? So EB-2, EB-3, they are separate from whatever your immigration status is, and even if you're in the US or not, it doesn't really matter, because I have a lot of clients for EB-2 and EB-3 who've never been in the US. Okay, they've just never been here, but they have an employer who want them to come here. All right, so and they come here. By the way, guys, I know some of you like have been in this position or are in this position, like you pretty much going for immigrant status or some other status without even ever being here in the US. I mean, this is pretty adventurous. You will never regret, but this is adventurous. Okay, do it right. How to find real work sponsorship? Can you advise on that? I cannot advise on that, but I can give you recommendations. I think the best way to do that is through LinkedIn and recruiters. There are people who are in this business. They find you H-1B employer, but you have to pay them a part of your salary for life, basically, for your H-1B life. Let's put it this way, okay? I mean, I know for sure that might sound enticing, like, okay, it's like my investment. Okay, I'm ready to pay whatever, 10% of my 15% of my future salary to these people who helped me with the H-1B employer, and I got in the US, and like I'm here, maybe I'm gonna get a green card sometime in the future. But once you're here and you've been doing it for a few years, you're gonna start feeling it. Okay, you're gonna start feeling the anger and irritation. Why I have to pay these people? I already paid them a lot, but you'll have to be paying them. Okay, because you have a contract, and it's really easy for them to go to court if you stop doing this and get their money. All right, so you will have to do this, unfortunately. So you have to balance out your risk. Either you know people who know people who know people who know the employers, and that's how you get to them, or you do your own research. You every day on Indeed, on Monster, on jobs.com, and those websites, on Zipper, and researching, filing resumes, talking to recruiters, and or you do it the simple way, but you have to pay in the future. LinkedIn is really good, guys. All of you who are going for O1s, H-1Bs, L1s, EB-1As, EB-2 and IW, not as much as for EB-2, EB-3 through the labor certification, must have LinkedIn profile. Okay, LinkedIn profile. Why? Because I know for a fact that immigration officers sometimes look at the LinkedIn profile. Okay, and your LinkedIn profile must 100% match whatever is in your petitions. Your jobs, your experience, your education, everything. Okay, everything. And if you guys have recommendations on LinkedIn, it's really good. It's really good, especially from the US people, because if the officer is looking at your LinkedIn profile, he's going to look at everything, including recommendations. Okay, and I've seen in RFEs then when immigration officers were addressing LinkedIn profile. I've seen it not once, not twice, and not 3 times. I've seen it a few times. So pay attention, guys. Pay attention to that. That's serious. Don't disregard your LinkedIn. It's important for many things. All right, guys. So give me a few more questions. I think we covered the topic really well. I believe I did a great job of explaining the options for Indians and everybody else. So unless you guys have things to say or ask or to comment, we're going to be wrapping up. So let me know. I'll give you like 20 seconds to drop another question or comment, and let's go from there. All right, so I think we did a great job. I'll see you next Thursday, same time, same place. You have a really good end of the week, and remember that your future begins here. Good luck.